Hey, Husker fans, welcome to the Husker Big Red YouTube channel. I'm Chris Peterson, and joining me, as always, is Danny Gillette, and we're back here for Nebraska Husker Big Red live chat. We haven't had one of these for a while, but we're going to start bringing them up every Saturday as we lead into football season. We've got spring ball, and today we've got the Crown. So we're going to talk a little hoop, a little football. And Danny, how are you doing on this Saturday morning?
I'm doing very well. I'm hoping my energy level gets as bright as my shirt here, but I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
So how are you? How are you feeling going into today's semifinal of the Crown? We got a win on Thursday, or excuse me, Wednesday night. It's been a long
Mm-hmm.
week, but got a
Yeah.
win on Wednesday night. The Huskers, beat Georgetown, covered the spread. Had another impressive win. Cale Jacobson, had some
Mm-hmm.
nice performances. So what do you think going to the semifinal today against Boise State?
I feel pretty confident in this team because this team is so streaky. One week they can win four in a row, the next week they can lose four in a row. So right now they seem to be on a hot streak, and that's largely due to not only the play of Bryce Williams and Juan Gary, the guys who have been doing it pretty much all season, but also Connor Seaton. He's been playing really well, and we're starting to see some other players step up and take the scoring role. And if they're not scoring, they're making an impact. And I'm talking about a guy like Cale Jacobson. He has been a revelation in this tournament, and we've talked before on our videos about players that need to step up for next season, or players that can make their case for next season. And Cale Jacobson is one of those guys. So he's been great to see in this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, he's scored 9 points. I think he has 9 rebounds, like
Mm-hmm.
or he has nine points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, and 6 steals so far through 2 games. And I thought he really sparked him in the Arizona State game. I
Mm-hmm.
remember thinking, hey, they're gonna have to, crank up the pressure, get some turnovers, and get some easy buckets in transition. And then he kind of allowed that to happen. He got some
Yep.
steals, found Juwan Gary, found Connor Seaton for some big buckets. So it's been interesting because I've seen some people like, well, Nebraska can't win if Cale Jacobson, is one of the guys in their lineup. And it's like, well, if Cale
Mm.
Jacobson had been inserted into the lineup earlier this season, this team might be in the NCAA tournament. I'm
I
not
thought the
even
exact same thing. Yeah.
because like one example of this was in the game on Wednesday night against Georgetown. Like it was late, like 2 or 3 minutes left.
Mm-hmm.
And Nebraska was up either 7 or 8 points. I can't quite remember,
Mm-hmm.
but there was the ball, shifted around on the perimeter and was moved over to the corner by the Hoyas. And the guy was basically going to be wide open. And Cale
Yeah.
Jacobson sprinted over there, closed it out, made him pass the ball, and ended up in a contested three from another player and a rebound by Nebraska. They ended up scoring on the other end and kind of put the game away. I thought to myself, how many times this season have we seen that just be a wide open three where nobody
Too
gets
many.
out there? Yeah, it's been like all season.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and if they had done that, if they had Cale Jacobson just to provide that defense, plus he's had one turnover. I mean, he's been, a primary ball handler. He's got one turnover in
Yep.
2 games. So, when we're talking about scholarships for next season, they
Mm-hmm.
might need to think about making a spot for Cale Jacobson.
He reminds me a lot of Sam Hoiberg.
Mm-hmm.
When I see his play style and the way he plays that defensive mindset, the steals, the closeouts, and things like that, he reminds me a lot of Sam Hoiberg. And I do think Cale Jacobson, deserves a scholarship for next season. And we talked about bench depth for next season and how it may not be as strong as it has been in previous years. Well, if Cale Jacobson keeps playing like this, then our bench depth is going to be just fine.
Yeah, I wouldn't be as worried about the bench depth with Cale Jacobson if he can play like that. It's going to be. I kind of thought, this is kind of a trying out period for him to see kind of how he
Mm-hmm.
does. But Nebraska
Mm-hmm.
kind of also, needs that. They're going to need him against Boise State again. This is a team that, 4 of their 5 starters are 6'7". They really attack, the inside the paint. Their 2-point percentage is the 20th best in all of college basketball, and they can shoot threes. I mean, make no mistake about it. And Nebraska's made a lot of teams look good from 3-point range this year, but I think a lot of it, ball screen defense, mid range, defensive rebounds, those are going to be a lot of the key things today. And Cale Jacobson's been really good in those areas. And I don't think it's a coincidence that he's played a bunch and Nebraska's held both of their first 2 opponents to, less than a point per possession. So, I mean, he's made a huge impact on this team so far.
Well, this is a trying out period for a lot of guys, and we talked about this tournament being kind of a springboard, and I think, for Kale Jacobson, this has been a great couple of games here, and he's really made his case to be a major player on this roster next season.
Speaking of next season, before we get a little bit more into this matchup today, and for anybody who's watching, if you're trickling in here, please, if you haven't already, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, or just get into the chat and let us know what you think about the Crown or spring ball or whatever you want to talk about. It's a live chat, so we want to interact with you guys. I know we haven't done one of these for a while, so we know the people will be trickling in, but a big commitment yesterday from Price Sanford. We talked about this earlier this week, but I think this is a really key piece for Nebraska. I'm a guy that shot 40% from 3-point range. He finishes actually really well, has a high percentage on 2-point attempts. Only played like 22 minutes last year, so I expect kind of a bigger role at Nebraska and maybe a more productive player, but already shot 40%. So you talk about a guy that you needed to replace or upgrade the 3-point shooting. Well, Fred Hoiberg certainly did that with Price Sanford this week.
And he also had 2 really strong games against Nebraska, so at least I won't have to face him next year. But I think when you look at, like you said, the 3-point shooting, and you look at shooters that can space the floor, and just another avenue of scoring, not obviously they won't be there next year, but when it came to scoring this year, it was Bryce Williams and Juwan Gary. Now you have another scorer that can help out, say, like a Connor Sejan or Bricky Boykatunzel or, Rink Mast. It's not going to be, I think, a 2-player effort like it was at times this year. Sanford allows you to have that, scoring impact quickly.
And we talked about this depending how the rest of the portal shakes out, but you could have a lineup with Connor Sejan, Price Sanford, Bertgay, Boykatunzel, and Rink Mast. So I mean, they're really, you really could have a nice starting point.
I would love that lineup. Yeah.
There's a lot of positive buzz about Jamarcus Lawrence. So we've talked about what kind of impact he could make as a point guard, combo guard. A guy who shoots the 3 pretty well, plays good defense, is a playmaker. So there's some positive buzz there. I would like to see them get, in addition to Jamarcus Lawrence, I would like to see them get a dynamic scorer, somebody that can really do well in ball screen situations. Because you look at Rink Mast, they need somebody that can do the pick and pop with him, who can attack drop coverage. When other teams drop their big and play drop coverage, can you rise up and hit that mid-range jumper? Nebraska didn't have anybody who could do that this year. They haven't really in a long time. I mean, really outside of, maybe Tominaga, Sam Griesel really wasn't even good at that. So they haven't had a point guard, like a really dynamic scoring point guard, in a long time. And I would like to see them get somebody like that to pair with Jamarcus Lawrence. I don't know that. I think Jamarcus Lawrence can be, your point guard or sharing that role, but I would like to see him paired with kind of a dynamic scoring guard, kind of like Nick Graves, who just, of course, went to Creighton, but he would have been right in that mold of the kind of guy I'm talking about.
And the thing about Lawrence, too, is that he has the ability to drive to the rim. So he can draw defenders into the paint and then leave space open for a guy like Connor Sejan or Sanford. So, his ability to collapse defenders can allow for open shooting lanes for, the guys at the perimeter.
And I know that, this has maybe been a bit of a broken record, but, in terms of the Crown, like, I'm really excited for this matchup. And you look at Boise State, man, this is a team that's made the tournament 3 years in a row before this year. I mean, at least the play-in, a couple of those years of the play-in, but still, you're still in the NCAA tournament, I guess. And they've got 26 wins this year. Both of these teams in this game were ranked in the top 50 according to the KenPom ranking. So, like, if this was during the regular season, this would be a quad 1 win for Nebraska. So, I mean, that tells you the level of basketball skill it's going to take to win this game. And beyond that, if Nebraska does get this victory today, regardless of what happened on Sunday, this would clinch their first back-to-back 20-win seasons for the first time since 1998-99 when Danny Nee was the head coach. So, like, I think that would be a massive achievement for this team, and hopefully they can get it done. But it's going to be a challenge today for sure. Boise State is no joke, and they're probably. These might be the 2 best teams that didn't make the NCAA tournament playing today in Las Vegas.
How did Boise State not make the NCAA tournament?
I don't think they had a very tough or very impressive non-conference schedule because they play in the Mountain West. I just know
Yeah.
that they got upset there, and they probably should have
Even
made the
still,
tournament.
26 wins, you said? That should be enough to make,
I
like,
mean, 24 before this tournament, but
yeah,
still, yeah,
okay.
they were 24-10,
All
and
right. Hmm.
you know, but yeah, so they're, and the thing about it is they, like Nebraska, like they're, all their guys are playing. I mean, they don't have anybody that I've seen that's kind of skipping this event for the port or whatever, which I think is pretty impressive. And you think about a team that's made the postseason a lot, but they've got bounced in the NCAA tournament, so like they're probably looking to,
Yeah.
win this thing. And what's kind of crazy is like, you know, Nebraska, if they win this tournament, like they're gonna hang a banner for this crown championship. Like I hope people realize that, and they should, because it's like it's still a postseason tournament. And the other thing that drives me crazy, I keep seeing this in the comments, is being like, "Oh, Nebraska's winning a tournament that's less, like less important than the
Prestigious.
NIT. Yeah, less prestigious. Thanks, Danny. Than the NIT." And it's like, no, man. Like the NIT is less. I mean, I get that it has the history, but like the quality of teams between the NIT and the Crown this year is not even close. Like the Crown was so much better than the NIT, like the field. So like if you're trying to say that, like that just tells me that you have not invested any time in like actually looking at who's in the NIT, because the Crown has already surpassed it. And Fox Sports did a nice little deal here. I think it's a really smart move because
Yeah.
everybody, you got March Madness all week, or the first 2 weeks, and then this week you have nothing because you have the Final Four. And so I think the way they did this was really smart. And not having, the NIT, it's hard to follow it over 3 weeks, right? I mean, all these different
Yeah.
campuses. This was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and it was all on the same channel. It was all in the same place. It was all Power Five teams, and it made it felt easy to get invested into it. Now maybe it's because I'm a Nebraska fan, but I want to feel like even if I wasn't, I probably still would have watched this just because it served that need of college basketball. It got me the fix for the week. You know what I mean?
Well, you know what it is? It's not only just because we're Nebraska fans, but there's no Peacock, no extra streaming service, no this, no that. It's all on Fox Sports, very accessible. On a major network, which I would say most people get on their TV, right? So it's not even hard to find. A lot, like some of these games are hard to find, and my gripes about Peacock. If you guys have been watching the streams and all these streaming BS services, but this tournament you can follow right on Fox Sports 1, and all the games are on there, and they're at times where you can watch them. And so in that area, I think they did a really nice job with this tournament because it's more accessible to the fans.
I mean, speaking of accessibility, there was a Nebraska guy sitting on the bench
Yeah.
of the Georgetown. That
Yeah.
that was like, I was so distracted by that. I could
Yeah.
not, like, for like 10 minutes, I could not focus on the game because I was just watching this guy. Every time Nebraska would come down the court, I was like just like watching his
Yeah.
interactions. And when Nebraska would score, like he would like his like clapping was so meek, probably because he's sitting right next to Ed Cooley. I just was like, what is this? But I love it. And I don't know if he like meant to get tickets there. I know he ended up switching seats eventually, but that was fun. Like I wanted to know like if he was like, when they're trying to like do their timeouts, is he like sneezing really loud? Like I'm
Yeah.
like, like, oh, I spilled my drink. Like I just
Yeah.
wonder if he was like, dude. But anyways, that guy was a legend. That was really cool. And yeah, it's been a fun tournament. I'm sure people are probably wanting to talk about some spring ball. So what's your prediction for today? What do you think Nebraska is going to do against Boise State?
Ooh. This is a tough one because I think Boise State is by far the best team they played in this tournament. So I'm going to say Boise State 83, Nebraska 77. I think the run ends here, but that's nothing to be ashamed of. This is a very good Boise State basketball team.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it could end here.
I
The
hope
one
not.
thing, Boise State's not their defense is really interesting because they're, when they allow teams to shoot 3-pointers, teams shoot a pretty high percentage, 34%, but they don't allow very many attempts. So it's going to kind of be interesting to see that battle. But I think Bryce Williams is going to have to, play his, lights out. But also the defense, this Boise State team, they, like I said, their 2-point percentage is off the charts. They shot 70% from two against, oh gosh, I'm blanking on who they beat. Not George Washington, but Butler. They shot 70% from two against Butler. So like if they do that against Nebraska on Saturday today, in a few hours, Nebraska's going to be in big trouble. but they also, I feel like they don't play maybe a team as big as Nebraska usually. I mean, you've got Gary, you've got Berkey. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if we saw Braxton May a little bit today, just trying to get some little more size and rim protection. So I don't know. I feel like the physicality of a Big Ten team could bother Boise State enough where it maybe could allow them to shoot a lower percentage on twos. I think Nebraska's going to do well enough defensively, and I think that Bryce Williams and Gary and all those guys will hit enough shots to win this game. But it's not
I
going to be
feel
easy,
like
though.
talking about us and physicality is kind of like we tried to be physical, but it just didn't work a lot this season. So I don't know. I mean, I hope Braxton Mink could play today. I mean, I get he had size, and granted, he did come on late in the season and play better, but I'm not sure. I'm not really sure what to expect out of him, honestly.
Yeah, and that's just speculation on my point. I know
I
that
would
they
love
do have
that if he's given you, but
they do have a 7-footer, but he doesn't play a ton. So, and that's the thing is they've got 4 guys that can shoot threes. Like they have 4 players who average at least 1 3-point field goal per game. So I mean that always worries me. But the 3-point defense has been better with Kale out there. Although they did give up like 13 against Georgetown, but I mean Georgetown was kind of just chucking up a bunch of threes. So I mean that's just like at some point you're okay with some of those shots, if you're not giving up a ton of twos. But I don't know. I feel like Nebraska, they just have to play lights out offensively. And I get what you're saying from the physicality standpoint, but I do feel like, there's a difference between like Big Ten physicality and
yeah.
Mountain West physicality. And so I don't know. I just feel like maybe Nebraska can play good enough defense on the interior. My worry is what it's been all year, though, is that 3-point shooting. So if Boise State gets hot from 3, like, watch out.
Yeah. No, and I totally get what you're saying too, for sure. A lot of times this season I didn't see pushback from this Nebraska basketball team, so that's what worries me in that respect. But I do agree that there's a difference in physicality when it comes to conferences. So I think it's going to be a good game. I think regardless, it's going to be a good game. This would be another big opportunity for Nebraska to kind of make a statement. And while I'm thinking of it, speaking of having an opportunity to make statements, the men's basketball team has also agreed to a 2-year exhibition series with BYU starting this fall. So that'll be a good opportunity for them to face a very talented team in BYU prior to the season. And I love it because it's not an easy exhibition game where everybody holds hands and eats lollipops and tells everybody good job. It's a quality opponent in a quality exhibition format. So I really like that. I don't know if you caught that.
Yeah, I do like that actually. And it's also nice because then it's not going to hurt or help you in terms of your
Right.
NCAA resume. So we're seeing
Yep.
more teams do that. And yeah, I think that's a good idea. Also, I think we should mention Fred Hoiberg. There's been some buzz about him going to Texas A&M. I never thought that was going to be an issue, but Fred Hoiberg did say Friday night, my future is at Nebraska. So just so everybody knows that. And I thought it was like, I love Fred Hoiberg. I think he's a great coach, but Texas A&M people would have been absolutely ballistic if Trev Alberts hired Fred Hoiberg. Like, just his resume just does not back up, a big hire right now. And I'm not saying that reflects the kind of job he's done at Nebraska, but I mean, thinking about, that the fan base in Texas A&M, if you just hire a coach that doesn't even make his own conference tournament, that would not. And Trev is not doing well right now. Like Texas A&M
I was going to say,
fans,
they're already going ballistic about Trev. I don't
know. They are so pissed off, and like, you think Nebraska baseball fans are pissed. They let Texas. Trev let Texas steal their baseball coach. Now that the guy that they replaced them with has been a complete disaster. Texas A&M fans don't like Mike Elko, although I mean it's only been 1 season, so like chill out.
Yeah.
But I'm just sitting back eating the popcorn. I'm loving it. I love that we got Troy Dannon and that Trev is having his feet held to the fire a little bit down there in a College Station.
He's just used these positions to try to get better positions, and I can't wait till the day people wake up and realize that. And by people, I mean the dummies that keep hiring him.
Yeah, he's great at getting jobs, and then weird at leaving them. But yeah,
including ESPN, like his tenure didn't end ceremoniously there either.
Yeah, that was a weird deal. But
yeah,
let's shift the talk to spring ball. We haven't don't have a ton of people commenting. We've got some people watching along. So if you're following, pop in the chat, join the chat. But if you just want to listen, that's fine too.
I still like talking with you anyway. It's a good time.
Yeah, we're trying to get this. We know it'll be. We'll get some more interaction as we get these going again to like we used to have them. Once I had the baby, that kind of messed up the schedule a little bit. So we're a little more regular schedule now. But yeah, spring ball. What are some of your thoughts now? We're a couple weeks into spring ball. I know we've got some not so great rumors about Hartley Gilmore potentially, not being on the team anymore. But outside of that, what are some of your takeaways?
I think this defense has a chance to be really, really good. This defense, bold prediction here. I know we're not doing these right now, but this defense will be better than last year. I think the play calling in terms of getting the running backs more involved will improve. Like I saw Emmett Johnson and Dylan Raiola connecting on a wheel route during practice last week. I think that the wide receivers, that room will be loaded, and I expect to see some freshmen contribute right away. And lastly, I think this is a team that can get to 9 wins next season.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's yeah, I agree with all those points. I do think the defense is going to be better this year. I really do. I think the pass rush with Dason McCullough and some of these other guys is going to be. I don't think it's going to drop off at all from last year, and really the pass rush at times last year wasn't that great.
I was
mean,
going to say, how much of a drop off are we going to have? Like, if we have a drop off from last year, we might as well just be standing on the field, just letting them pass because it wasn't a huge. Schematically, this wasn't a pass rush friendly system last year, in my opinion.
Yeah, and like they had some sacks in bunches, but it just didn't seem like they got enough pressure when they really needed it. And I think back to Mac Rule's first press conference, and he said you have to protect and affect the quarterback, and Nebraska has not done a good enough job of affecting the quarterback, especially on third down. And they've done like last year, there were so many times where, with the run defense, they would get into third and long, third and 8, and they just could not get off the field. And so, like even if, like I keep thinking back to the Tony White situation and, like we all looked at it as like, oh, he's leaving Nebraska. Like, I don't know if he would have been allowed to return based on the way that things finished. And I think that he may have been pushed out the door, honestly.
I was happy to see him go. I know a lot of people were, but I wasn't in the camp of, oh no, he's leaving Nebraska. I was sad about Terrence Knight leaving more than I was about Tony White leaving, to be honest with you. But even that hire, I think Terry Braden's done a good job. Obviously we'll have to see, what the returns are on the field, but he seems to have control of the defensive line, where things could have gone really badly. You lose your defensive line coach, you lose some of your guys, but it seems like Braden's done a good job of coaching up these young guys, and we'll see. And that's what I love about this team too. It's a team that you can build with and build around. There's so many young players, Shavers, McGahee, Van Poppel, Keona Davis, all these young guys have a chance to be part of the defense for several years to come. It's not like a veteran-laden roster in the sense that you're going to have to replace a ton. But, it's a roster that you can build with, provided NIL doesn't get them first.
Well, it's interesting that they have, young guys at every position, along with, some veterans. Like at linebacker, I think, you've got McCullough, Dawson. Dawson Merritt's a young guy, but Javin Wright is what I was thinking. Marcus Watson Trent. So some of those guys are going to be moving on, and then you've got Christian Jones and Dawson Merritt and Vincent Shavers, who are kind of there to be that next group. Vincent Shavers is already in that mix. McGahee's another name, and the defensive line is pretty similar, except you don't have a lot of older guys. You have Judy, who's up there a little bit. I think this will be his last year.
Yeah, I believe so.
So he's kind of taken on a veteran leadership role for this team, but yeah, beyond that, Davis, Williams Noweri, Riley Van Poppel, Cam Leonard. A lot of these guys have multiple years to play.
I always throw Gabe Moore there because we forget about him, but
we do forget about. Gabe Moore isn't talked about enough. So I'm interested to see what his body type is looking like, this fall, because he's a guy that used to be an edge, and if he can really play, 300 pounds, I think that could be an exciting prospect that that doesn't get talked about enough. So yeah, I get when I look at this transfer portal class, I think it's
Yeah.
it's a really dynamic one, and one that's not only going to help for this season, but I think Nebraska was really smart in getting guys, an Isaiah Hunter and Williams Nowhere, who are going to impact this program for multiple years. Elijah Pritchard's another example of that.
I mean, even, not necessarily transfer portal, but you talk about, players that can impact for multiple years. You have Cortez Mills, Isaiah Mosey, guys like that too. So, people have been asking me about the 2027 quarterback situation and how that could impact Dayton Raiola. And so I wanted to ask you that. You have TJ, the kid from Trey Taylor, Trey Taylor, and then you have, they offered Keegan Croucher. So where do you see Dayton Raiola fitting into the plans for the quarterback position moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that Dayton is, going to be in the mix. It's going to be really interesting to see who kind of takes the helm after his brother.
Yeah.
I don't think that, I don't think that the 2027 quarterback recruiting is really impacted, or I don't think that Dayton's going to be impacted as much by the 2027 quarterback recruiting, but I do think that they're maybe trying to aim a little bit higher in the 2027 class.
Yeah.
I mean, it just seems like, and I'm not trying to talk down Dayton at all, but it does seem like they kind of settled for him a little bit. I think that they have more belief in him than others do, right? Like the scouting services or even other programs, because he hasn't really been offered by a ton of major teams outside of Nebraska. So, I don't know if it's like, if part of it is they're trying to keep the Raiola thing going and keep them happy, or if they really truly believe he can be a starting
Let's
quarterback.
be honest here. I would try to keep everybody happy.
Yeah.
Let's feel like I would try to keep everybody happy. And I do think that's a part of it, because obviously his brother goes here, uncle's coach here, his father was a superstar at Nebraska. So I could definitely see him see the program try to keep everybody happy. But I don't know. It is an interesting question, because honestly, once Dylan Raiola leaves, I could see TJ Lateef taking over. There's been some videos that I've seen, and reports I've read and stuff, and he's a really, really talented player. So I think, even though he would be a bit young in terms of getting a starting job, I do think you see Lateef taking over, and then it becomes about who is going to come after Lateef.
Yeah, Lateef has a really good chance, right? I mean, he's got this year and next year to, sit behind Raiola and develop and learn. And I mean, he was another Elite 11 quarterback, so like he's got all the skill set. And that was a really big.
His arm is really impressive.
Yeah, that was a really big recruiting win for Nebraska. So I mean, if all goes to plan, I mean, he would be the next starter, and then theoretically, this 2020, Raiola or this 2027 QB would be the next guy in line, and hopefully it's Trey Taylor. I prefer Trey Taylor over Keegan Croucher. I know that the rankings are a little bit different. Not that you can go bad either way, but
yeah.
I really like Trey Taylor's game. I like his personality, his mindset, and I think he would be a great fit for Nebraska. And so hopefully they can get that done. I'm not sure. It's really kind of feels like up in the air right now, though. It's really hard to read his recruitment.
I mean, and I would rather trade Taylor too, but I honestly think, Keegan Croucher might be more realistic, because you have Illinois going after Taylor, you have Michigan going after Taylor. So, other Midwest teams and in conference teams even are starting to realize how good a player he is. So I'm happy that they jumped on Croucher's recruitment this early, because I don't know if Taylor is a guarantee.
And speaking of recruiting, we finally got Darian Jones was offered, I think, on Friday. Yep. So that was the third in-state offer for Nebraska in 2026, yep. Which does seem really low, but I mean, I understand it, and it's not as good of a class. Although Iowa State would disagree, because they've been plucking kids like crazy, and that's actually one of the top guys that Darian Jones is supposed to take an official visit to Iowa State. So
I mean, that's Iowa State, though. I don't know.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, like,
I'd be more worried about Iowa, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying what's interesting to me about, like, with Darian Jones is just because it might be to the point where they're like, hey, we've got a bunch of Nebraska kids here. I wonder if that's going to be a selling point. Although Nebraska's got his brother on the team. So if they really want him, and I think they should, he's ranked in the top 500. So they probably should offer him a little bit earlier. But like I've said, I don't think this staff, gives two craps
No.
about what the rankings say, which is a good
Well,
thing.
that's the thing too. Like once you find a pocket where you're successful, for Iowa State, it might be Nebraska this class. For Nebraska, it seems to be like the Florida, Georgia area. Once you find that successful recruiting pocket, I mean, you might as well keep going to the well.
I guess we should address the Hardly Gilmore situation. I really haven't heard a ton. I just saw what was posted on the message boards and what Sean Callahan reported yesterday. So the only thing that we know is that he hasn't been at practice this week. So, that could mean different things. Probably does mean that he might be off the team, or maybe there's some disciplinary action. I'm not sure. I do think it would be disappointing. Not that I do think Nebraska has the wide receivers to obviously overcome that, but man, he was really generated. Like every reporter was like, Hardly Gilmore is going to make an impact this season. So if he's not on the team anymore, that would be a bit of a blow.
I'm hoping he is, and I'm hoping everything's okay, whatever it is, or I hope it sorts itself out. But that would be a blow because I was excited to see him come in. Thankfully, it's not at a position where depth is scarce. We have about 67,000 wide receivers. So, but I just on a personal level, I hope everything works out. I hope he's okay, and I hope he is able to return to the team.
Yeah, I hope so as well. You look at even if he isn't available, you've got Dane Keegan, Isaiah Hunter, Ja'Cory Barney, Cortez Mills,
Demetrius Bell.
Isaiah. Yeah, I keep forgetting about.
I forgot about it.
Yeah. Demetrius Bell, Isaiah Mosey, obviously has looked pretty good. Jeremiah Jones, people keep forgetting about. They're not talking about Jeremiah Jones, but he almost flipped Missouri, and I'm not 100% sure, but I'm thinking Nebraska's going to play him at receiver too. And then you also have Quinn Clark,
who a safety type of or corner safety.
I think that was part, but I think part of his thing is Missouri really wanted him as a receiver, and I think that was part of why Nebraska was able to keep him. Is they said, "Hey, like we'll let you play receiver here." So I don't know if that was like, we'll let you try it. I'm not sure. So I'll have to get some clarity on that.
He's a good athlete, so I wouldn't be mad at seeing him at receiver at all.
Yeah, and then and there's quite a bit of depth, I think, at cornerback right now, just like wide receiver. And yeah, like I said, Quinn Clark is another guy that I think has a chance to do something in the future. So yeah, and Carter Nelson bumping over to tight end, I think is the right move. I like where the tight end room is at, and if he can get healthy, like and he can contribute this season in a meaningful way with Luke Lindenmeyer and Heinrich Harburg, like that tight end room is going to be pretty tight.
Yeah, then you look at the running back room, and I know people were stressing earlier this offseason about the running back room, but I really, really like how the running back room shapes out. I was alerted that everybody's favorite Nebraska podcaster said that Jamarian Parker might take away snaps from Emmett Johnson. I don't see that happening. I see, Parker even maybe being a number 2 type of back or something like that, but I don't see him taking over the starting role.
Yeah, that would be a bit of a stretch. See Parker, making an impact. He's already gained 15 pounds since he's come here, and definitely think he's best running back that Matt Rule has recruited since he's been in Nebraska, and that includes Dante Dowdell in the transfer portal. So, I do think he's going to has a chance to be a special player. I think he could be possibly Nebraska's next 1,000-yard rusher, because I'm just not sure Emmett Johnson's going to be able to, handle the workload to get to 1,000 yards this season. Maybe he might be able to. I think he'll get over 1,000 total yards receiving and rushing, but
he's a really good receiving back.
Yeah, I could see him getting like 900 yards rushing and like 300-400 yards. So I definitely think Emmett's going to have like a big 1,200 yard total season, but I think there could be a chance that Jamarian Parker's our next 1,000-yard rusher like in a year or two.
I don't know if we'll see a 1,000-yard rusher just do the like I know Holgerson said he doesn't want to run his traditional air raid, but how the amount of talent that we have at wide receiver, I don't know if we're going to need a 1,000-yard rusher. It's going to be really interesting to see because like I just said, I know Holgerson said he doesn't want to do his traditional air raid offense, but how could you not let loose with the talent at wide receiver?
Well, I think some hope will be you can let your talent loose, early, get the lead, and then you can just grind people to dust. The old Matt Rule, fourth quarter rush attempt formula. Because
that's what he's always wanted to do, and he's made that very clear. And we've never really had opportunities to do it often. So I'm hoping that this year maybe maybe that can happen. We did a little bit in 2023 with Anthony Grant and guys like that, but I'm hoping we have more opportunities to do that this season.
Yeah, last year, I mean, we kind of did that, I guess, against Wisconsin, but we mostly just threw the ball all over them. So that's like what when I think about what Dylan Raiola could be this season, I think about 12 games of like doing the Wisconsin game from last year 12 times over, because that game, like, go watch that game. Like, if you doubt that Dylan Raiola can be like an all Big Ten quarterback, or like a true, like a first round pick, go watch that game, because that tells you all you need to know. And if we can just photocopy that and have that performance 12 times this year, Nebraska will be in the playoff. I have no doubt in my mind, if he plays like that, Nebraska will win 9 or 10 games this year.
So who are your starting wide receivers for 2025? I know I've asked you that before, but I keep having different like combinations in my head.
Well, I think Dane Key and Isaiah Hunter. And then I'm going to say Ja'Cory Barney still number 3. And I think Cortez, like in terms of the most targeted, I'm going to say it's going to be Key, Hunter, Ja'Cory Barney, and Cortez Mills. And I think Cortez Mills is going to make an immediate impact. Like,
so those are your 4 you trot out on game day?
Yeah, I think so.
Like
yep. Yeah. And then Isaiah Mosey, I think, is going to have an impact. And yeah, Demetrius Bell is, I got to remember him, because he really was dynamic last year in the spring too. And his injury in the spring game, that's maybe one of the reasons they're not having it this year, because that really was a bummer. He was going to be a good player the last season. So that's another name to keep on the radar.
Yeah, no, when you look at these weapons and how fast they are, like, this is the best wide receiver room I've seen at Nebraska since I started covering the team 6 years ago. I mean, we've come a long way at many positions, not just the receiver positions, but
I think just when you look at, the skill positions, and I talk about, when I say skill positions, I mean, like running back, receiver, and then defensive backs. And our defense, I mean, look at the defensive backs when like Matt Rule came here. I mean, it's just night and day. Like, it really is. And I know that they have recruited, and they've even kept some of the same guys. So, I mean, it's not all different, but like, I just feel like at cornerback, especially, they're longer, they're more athletic, they can play man to man. Donovan Jones, Sayer Wright, Andrew Marshall,
Mario Buford, Marshall, yeah,
and even Amari Sanders, Larry Tarver, like Bryson Weber, who's come in this season. Like, I just feel like they have so much more talent where they can actually like match up one-on-one. And now in practice, like, we're not, it's not Brody Belt on the other side. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to like rip on any.
I don't want to mention any names. But I definitely thought of some names when I was making that comment earlier.
Now you look at the defensive backs. Now look at who they're having to cover. I mean, they're having to cover Dane Key and defending Dylan Raiola passes, and I think that truly does matter, makes a difference. So now when they go and we play, Ohio State or somebody, I'm not saying we're quite at that level, but it's a lot more comparable. It's not like, oh my God, we've never seen this speed before. So I think it does help you all around, and that competitive nature that really is pushed by Matt Rule, I think is just going to, raise the ceiling of this entire program.
Well, since you mentioned names, I got to say, like, when you talk about the wide receiver room and you think about, even like 4 or 5 years ago when you had, I'm sorry, but Oliver Martin as your starting wide receiver, and now you got like speed everywhere. It is impressive how far the recruiting has come.
And looking at, Hunter, just with Dane Key, Isaiah Hunter, Ja'Cory Barney, all 3 of these guys had over 40 receptions last year.
Yep.
All of them had, I think Barney didn't quite have 500 yards. I think he was like 478 or something, but still.
They didn't utilize him correctly.
So you've got 3 guys, but 3 guys who've had 40 catches, over 400 yards. Like, that's not like, it's like pure production. And Hunter and Key are from the SEC and ACC. So it's not like, oh, how's this guy going to come up from the Sun Belt and produce in the Big Ten? No, like, these guys played in some power conferences. And so, I mean, yeah, this is probably the most proven receiving group that Nebraska's maybe had ever, like, because they just have never had an offense like this with receivers like this. And like, even when Zach Taylor was doing his thing, like, they had good players and Joe Gans, and but it wasn't like this. So, I mean, this I feel like has the chance to be the best pass offense Nebraska's maybe ever had.
I think Marcus Satterfield only thought that Ja'Cory Barney could do the end around play, and that's it.
God, that was so annoying.
Yeah, because once what's that?
Well, he just ran that. He ran the same play with him every time. It got,
and everybody knew it was coming, including but And no, and the reason that stuck out to me is because you mentioned that Wisconsin game a little bit ago. That's when Barney like really had a strong receiving game. I think it was like Big Ten, like freshman of the week or something. And it's like, maybe Barney can do a lot more than just that end around play. But that the final couple games of the season where they really got him involved more as a receiver and not just a gadget player, which was so annoying. That really spoke volumes about what he could do.
Well, it was just like you did it too. I mean, it was like you can't run that same play
Yeah.
4 times a game. Like, like it was a good play and they should have utilized it, but they should have kept it, they should have kept it under wraps and kept it for like, Ohio State or some of those big, and they were just running it like every, it just seemed like every time they thought they needed a few yards, they try to run it and just wouldn't get anything. It's just a wasted play. And so that's the thing, is like Satterfield just had so many like just wasted plays, dumb screens, just unimaginative plays where
The
it was like,
screens drove me insane.
oh my God, they were some of the, and look, I'm not saying I'm a football genius, okay? Like I play Madden, but like some of these screens, it was like, how in the hell did you think that was going to work? Or like if there was too many moving parts, you know what I mean? He didn't know. I think he's a good position coach. Like I'm glad he's still on staff, but like I said, some people just don't know how to call plays. It's just, they just don't have that instinct for it.
Yeah.
And Dana Holgerson does. So like, I'm excited for him. I think we'll get him for 2 years. I think we'll get him for this year and next year. And then after we win the national championship, he'll ride off to another head coaching job. I'm just kidding, everybody.
We're gonna get clipped or
I'm just
something.
joking.
It's gonna end up on social media, but
that was just a joke. That was totally a joke.
Maybe Big Ten national championship. Who knows? Let's start there. Let's
just
start
a
with 10
playoff
wins.
spot would be cool. I'd be pumped if they got like, just, you know what? I would like to consistently be back in the top 25. I mean,
yeah,
like, just that's my first goal. Like, let's beat some top 25 teams. And like every time Nebraska has a game, I want to see that little number next to their name.
How many top 25 teams do you play this year? I'm just looking at the schedule right now. Hold on.
Gosh, I don't even know. I know maybe Michigan probably will be ranked if they have to beat Oklahoma though, so that's going to be kind of an up in the air prospect.
So they won't be ranked by that point. Because I don't think they're beating Oklahoma, but we'll see. Let's see.
Yeah, we'll see. It'll be tough. Maybe Oklahoma wasn't that great last year though, although they did kick the crap out of Alabama.
They did, but Alabama was also a joke. Okay, so I'm looking at the schedule. Maybe Michigan, right? Maybe Michigan, Penn State, maybe.
Penn State will be ranked for sure.
Maybe USC, but I don't know. I think like we
really USC's kind of like Michigan.
Schedule.
Like I just don't know. I mean, I feel like they could be a lot better this year, and I know they've made a lot of investments on their defense. So I don't know. Lincoln Riley has to get it figured out on defense though. But I mean, yeah, there's a good chance though. I would say like Michigan and USC are like 50-50. They'll be ranked when we play them.
And then Penn State, I think.
And that's it. We don't play. Yeah. So yeah, maybe Iowa at the end of the year. They're sometimes ranked when we play them, but
we need to win. Like I'm just looking at the schedule. Akron, Cincinnati, Houston Christian. If we don't start 3-0, I'm going to be very upset.
Yeah, especially that Cincinnati game at Arrowhead's really big. They got to get that one. They have to. That's the tone setter for this season. And yeah, I mean, Cincinnati's not who they were when they were going to the playoff and whatever, but they're still, you're still gonna have to play a good game to beat that team. So
the month of November is gonna be tough. You got USC, you got UCLA in Pasadena, and then you have to go to University Park, but you play Iowa to end the season. So a little bit of travel from California to Pennsylvania, but the month of November is gonna tell a lot. It always seems like that, but. Yeah.
So is it UCLA and Penn State and back-to-back road games?
It goes all right. So for the month of November, it goes USC in Lincoln, UCLA in Pasadena, Penn State in University Park, and then Iowa in Nebraska, obviously.
Yeah, that's a tough that's a tough back-to-back road game. There's no bye week between there.
Let me see. When is our bye week?
I think we have
our bye week is between the UCLA and Penn State game.
Okay.
But it's still a tough trip.
Yeah, that's still 2 back-to-back. That helps a little bit. But yeah, because I mean, there's so many games last year where I look back, when we talk about how our record could have been better, but I'm like, we should have never lost that UCLA game. That's the game. We should have never probably lost to Illinois. I mean, Ohio State.
Illinois makes me furious.
The Iowa game pisses me off too. We should not have lost that game. You know what I mean? Like, when if Isaiah gets drafted, like I hope they show the highlight of him dropping that pass against Iowa. Come on, man. Oh God, we had the game won.
I'm happy for the guys, but it was kind of frustrating to see them test so well at the combine.
Yeah, like Thomas Fidoni's like blowing up, which I'm not surprised, but
I don't think we utilized him correctly. And then I think his injuries didn't help. But I mean, man, he was a top tight end recruit. It's like Nebraska just couldn't get him on the field, whether it be health or production or whatever.
I mean, and he was better. I think he got like 30 some passes last year. So I just think like the hype was to a point with him that really, I mean, unless he was like an All-American, he just was never gonna live up to that, so unless he had like a 600-yard season. So I don't know. Hopefully, best of luck to him. Like I said, still helps Nebraska, I think, when guys get drafted. So but yeah, that was a little frustrating. But yeah, I mean, if we can just do the simple things, right? Like, be solid on special teams, and Mike Eckler, I think, will help with that a lot. And just getting the most out of your players, which Nebraska just didn't do, I think, for a good chunk of last season on offense. So I'm glad that Matt Rule made the moves that he made. I think he brought in 3 really good coordinators, and it's crazy that we're going into year 3 already with 3 different coordinators. But I think it was kind of a soft reboot, and I think those were steps were needed to help this program reach its full potential.
I was going to say, the ability to not get the most out of our players has been extending far back beyond just last year. It's been like the last 6 or 7 years, or last 10 years, honestly. I mean,
hell, that's been happening since Bill Callahan was here.
Yeah,
and
now they're all tearing it up in the NFL, and sometimes that happens. I mean, sometimes they just need to leave Nebraska. And I think that's the case with even the coaches too sometimes. So,
yeah, which, speaking of, it'll be interesting, huh, man? Michigan just got another big guy in the portal. Michigan's doing great. They guess got the number 1 player in the transfer portal. So, for basketball, I wish we could do that. I wish Nebraska had money to do that. So, I got people like, I've posted a few things on Creighton. Stop posting Creighton stuff. Like I'm posting it because that guy was on our radar, Nick Graves. Nick Graves would have been freaking perfect for Nebraska, but of course, Creighton and its massive budget, it's so annoying. It's like Creighton can almost spend more on one player than we can for our entire team, and that's not lying. That's like not a joke. That's
they don't have anything else. I mean,
that's true. They don't have
really don't have anything else. I mean, and I think when you look at they don't have anything else. Don't they have baseball? They have baseball, yeah.
They have baseball, yeah, and which they beat us in baseball too this year. I hate them.
I mean, so it's so surprising when you look at the offensive system. Like, if you're a shooter, that's the system you want to play in.
Yep, yeah.
That's what Fred Hoiberg dreams of running, and I don't know if he'll ever get there, but
I think, he's got Fred runs high level stuff. It's just, can he get the players that McDermott can get? I don't know. I just don't know if he's ever going to be able to. We'll see. I mean, it does seem a little bit crazy to me that Nebraska doesn't have more NIL, but I guess saving it for football, but I don't know. I just feel like
they know where the bread is buttered for the university and for the fans. It's football. This is a football school. And it sucks because we should have more money for NIL for basketball, but everybody knows this is a football school and a volleyball school. Let's not discount the volleyball team. But speaking of volleyball, really quickly, I just saw something that the Board of Regents is going to vote on renaming the Devaney Sports Complex to honor John Cook as well.
Yeah, so, that would be awesome. He deserves it.
I'm assuming that vote's going to pass, yes?
I would have to. That would be.
Yeah.
The legend himself.
And I think they're also going to add more seats in there too. I saw last month. So they're upgrading the volleyball facilities. I just,
honestly, I wish they would just play at PBA. I feel like they could do it. I honestly, I don't know. Maybe they could, but it just seems like they sell out I know it's like twice as big, or at least not, maybe not every game, but they should have some games at PBA. That's just, to me, it's crazy that they aren't doing that already. The popularity is there.
Can sell out. I fully believe the volleyball
100%. Especially when it's Nebraska and Wisconsin, or like
Yeah,
Nebraska and, like when it's these big matches, like put them in the vault. Like let's go. Like get
yeah.
like support these ladies and let people want to go to these matches. Like they really do. So I think you would have, I mean, we sold out a freaking football stadium to watch these ladies play, the University of Omaha. So if you had a top 5 volleyball matchup, they would easily sell out the vault every time.
I'm excited for volleyball because I don't think there's going to be a lot of drop off. I think Danny Busby Kelly is going to do a great job, and I think the train's just going to keep on rolling.
And got some nice talent in the transfer portal. So, obviously lost Merritt Beeson and Lexi Rodriguez, which was tough. But yeah, I see Nebraska being one of the contenders for a national championship, and I kind of love that they got a head coach that hasn't won one. So, like you look at the players and the coach, like they're all starving to get that national championship, and I'm excited. Yeah, very excited to watch them chase that.
It's been such an interesting paradox to watch like the Alabama of volleyball compete at a school where we've struggled in football recently. Basketball can't seem to, get things going. It's just so weird. There's just this one program that is above the rest and everybody else is struggling.
Yeah.
Although baseball won last night, so who knows?
They did, and softball keeps killing. I mean, I'm not sure if Northwestern's lost yet. They've been a game back in Northwestern, but I think they're 7-1 in the Big Ten right now, so they're rolling.
I remember when some people were yelling to fire the softball coach.
No, man, people are crazy. But I do think so in terms of the softball team, like the baseball team has a ton of work to do just to try to make the tournament.
Yeah.
But the softball team, like I feel like they have a legitimate chance of hosting a regional this year. If they can, I mean, because they're ranked right now. This conference is so much more difficult than it used to be. But I guess Nebraska has 2 losses. They got them at 7-2, so I must have missed one. But at any rate, yeah. So Northwestern 7-0, UCLA and Oregon are 8-1 and 7-1, and that's the thing. Like you added some really good baseball and softball programs, so I feel like the overall like power of the Big Ten in those sports is a lot. It's just viewed much more differently now than it used to be. I think the Big Ten's not going to be like a 1 or 2 bid league in baseball anymore.
And it's also great that the baseball tournament is being held in Omaha again this summer, regardless if Nebraska makes it or not. It's such a great atmosphere. It really is.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. So, well, I am going to have to wrap it up here, you guys, pretty quickly. So this was kind of a fun chat. I know we didn't get quite as many people as we usually do, but I know that we haven't done this for a while, so people aren't really expecting it. Plus, it's spring, and we're talking about the Crown, so the reaction's always a little tepid with basketball. But we'll keep doing these, though. We'll have one of these every Saturday. Going up into the season, we'll talk some more football next week, and hopefully, we'll be celebrating our Crown championship. I'm definitely going to get a shirt. I still haven't got my Pinstripe Bowl championship.
I need a Pinstripe Bowl shirt. Yeah,
I need a Pinstripe Bowl shirt, and then I need a picture of like Bryce Williams wearing the crown after they've won the crown. I wonder if they actually give them a crown at the crown. They probably do.
I bet you. I think they give you like Pop-Tarts for the Pop-Tarts Bowl and like mayo for the Duke's Mayo Bowl. So I don't see why a crown would be out of the ordinary.
Like a super nice 3D printed crown,
That'd be nice, yeah.
Yeah. I gotta see that, Bryce. So hopefully he goes off for another 30 today. It's been fun. So all right, we'll have our regular podcast on Monday morning, you guys. Go Big Red, and have a great rest of your weekend.
Go Big Red. Have a good weekend, everybody.